We are starving despite being overfed. And I'm not just talking about people who eat a standard American diet. The eat less, move more mentality is alive in the keto and carnivore world and is causing huge problems. By filling our plate with vegetables or even, heaven forbid, fruits, we are eating foods that lack bioavailable amino acids that our body needs. Right? We're depriving our body of the real energy and materials it needs, forcing our body into a state of internal starvation. I know this sounds extreme, but we have all experienced that energy crash when our metabolic rate drops, right? We're sluggish, we can't think straight, barely able to take care of our family before we rush off to bed. We're so exhausted. We're overweight, our joints hurt, our bodies are struggling. The medical and food industries just keep telling us the same story over and over. Diet and exercise, diet and exercise. You need to diet, you need to exercise. But the truth is, you cannot fix a starving body by starving it even more. So today, we're going to look at exactly how this eat less advice is actively breaking down our body. And I'm going to show you a simple way to flip the switch, because flipping the switch actually stops the internal starvation so you can finally drop the weight, end the joint pain, and get your energy and your life back. Now, before we get started, I'm Violet. I want you to know that I've been where you are, in pain, overweight, and wanting my life back. 8 years ago, I found the answer to my pain, and today I'm using my 20 years of experience in helping people to help you see what I saw. Please subscribe. Traditionally, men are thought of as muscular, while women, we're thought of as shapely. Somehow, these thoughts have been translated into goals. Men work out like crazy to have the biggest muscles possible, while we women focus on having the lightest possible bodies. We all want to feel attractive, men and women, and the food and medical industries use that against us. Most men don't have the time to dedicate to the gym to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so supplements and other medications are the way to go. While for us ladies, to shrink our bodies to be as petite as possible, they push tiny portion sizes, low-calorie diet foods, and endless cardio. Women with muscles are classified as butch, tomboys, or batting for the other team. All ways of saying that we aren't attractive if we have too much muscle, and therefore will never get into a relationship. Ladies, what they are actually hiding from us is that women with more muscle actually live longer. Like the research shows it. We live longer. We're not falling all the time and breaking bones. And they definitely don't want us to know that skeletal muscle is a vital part of the endocrine system, right? Muscles not only store glucose, it's one of the primary ways our body has to use glucose. This means that the standard dieting advice to eat low fat, high carb foods to keep our calories low, right, has the unfortunate side effect of blocking women from naturally building muscle because our body is constantly in fat storage mode. Yeah, that's right. And the muscles we do have are forced to hold on to glucose because we don't work out properly. Like we're just doing cardio. What about all the rest of our muscles? It's holding that glucose, and that causes inflammation. Because we barely eat the protein with accompanying fat needed to make muscle, more of the sugar consumed in our diet is converted to fat. So we don't have enough muscle on us to even use up the carbohydrates that we're bringing in. We're building fat. And yes, when we add calorie counting to our keto diet, the tendency is to limit healthy fat and allow ourselves to feel full on vegetables, right? Because vegetables have less calories. We go back to our old dieting ideas, Wellness Warrior, and that transforms our healthy keto diet into a low-fat, high-carb diet that engages the chemical crisis that results in not enough protein, fat, and connective tissue being eaten to maintain healthy muscle on the body, even though you're eating the lowest glycemic vegetables. It's the balance that matters so much. This is part of the reason we're constantly being told to eat the fat on our meat. This is part of the reason that I keep screaming, stop paying attention to calories. As muscle mass shrinks on our bodies and our insulin levels rise because we are still eating those carbohydrates, our body is in a state of permanent fat storage. And unfortunately, the sugar in our body is causing pain in our muscles and joints. This is why a lot of people doing keto still can't lose weight. The inflammation in our body is increasing. The fat creation in our body is ongoing, which is exactly why the scale is not moving. By demonizing muscle on a woman, they keep us fragile, hungry, and stuck, which guarantees that we remain lifelong customers of their stupid diet products. And the products they are pushing on us today are much more biologically dangerous than they've ever been. The food and pharma companies have convinced us that eating is about calories, satiation, and fun. So we will therefore buy diet shakes and bars in fun flavors because the marketing on the package fits some rules we were told about staying thin. But in biology class, we are still being taught that our body needs what? Amino acids and lipids to build and repair itself. So amino acids are proteins and lipids are fats, and they need the animal kind. This discrepancy between what's written on the packages of these kind of things and what we actually need has existed in North America for more than 50 years. And our weight has been rising and our health has been plummeting along that entire time that this contradiction has been running. Yet, somehow, today, if you visit your nutritionist, the diet advice continues to be eat large salads, high fiber diet foods, and huge plates of vegetables to trick our body into feeling full with the minimum possible calories. I was told that when I was talking to health professionals about dieting, and our son was told that when he wanted to talk about, when we got him a nutritionist to talk about his weight scenario. Stretching our stomach with low-calorie plants is not the same as feeding our body. Our bodies do not run on volume of food. Our bodies run on bioavailability of the building blocks we give ourselves. So, plant proteins are not as bioavailable to humans as animal proteins.
Basically, we realize that when you look at a protein, there are two factors. One is what's the composition of those 9 essential amino acids, and the other is what's its bioavailability? How well do we digest it and absorb it? With animal proteins, the digestion absorption is pretty close to 100. It's usually 95% or higher for all animal proteins. For plant proteins, though, it gets into, you need to realize that in a plant, the protein is there for the purpose of the plant. And so a lot of it is attached to fibers, to structures. If you just eat it in a raw form, it may only be 60-70% available because we can't digest the fiber. So if you look at wheat bran on a cereal box and say it was a wheat flour, and it says there's 4 grams per serving, there's actually less than 2 that you can actually absorb.
And what's worse than not being able to use those micronutrients? Plants have anti-nutrients that act like mineral magnets, like oxalates and phytates, for example. These plant toxins actually bind to the essential minerals that our bodies desperately need, so that our bodies need them to build and repair, and they bind to them, carrying them out of our bodies in our waste, Wellness Warrior. They're going down the toilet. So we fill up on vegetables and salads, believing that we are doing the healthiest thing possible for ourselves, only to be hungry 2 hours later, right? And then we snack on celery and carrot sticks, or maybe even nuts if you're keto. I'll give you that. You might be eating nuts and cheese, only to be hungry again another 2 hours later, because nuts and seeds still have a lot of carbohydrate compared to the fat in them. And of course, and also they're plant proteins, they're plant fats, not what your body is looking for. And the vegetables, well, it's just carbohydrate. Your body wasn't looking for that. The constant sugar that we are flooding our body with, insulin is staying high, but your body still has not received the animal protein and animal fat that it was desperately looking for. Eating good is supposed to make us feel better. But when we're eating huge salads and snacking on vegetables and still have no energy, it's more than frustrating, Wellness Warrior. When we are low in energy, we have much less focus and then decision-making ability. It's just not there. Our brain is not working the way that it's meant to work. We're not problem solving properly. And eventually, those intense cravings hit us, but we're not thinking straight. And we either continue to eat veg, right? Whether it's nuts and seeds or whether it's vegetables or, heaven forbid, strawberries and all the low carb fruits that we think are a pass. They're not a pass. They impact our liver the same way that the other fruits do. Eventually, we give into the craving, some of us, and end up eating real garbage, right? The stuff that we don't want to be eating. Or we just overdo the keto approved garbage, but we're still giving our body an excessive amount of carbohydrates, because if you're actually eating properly, you should be able to make it through your day on just your meals and not need snacks. And the reason that all of this is happening, the reason that we are being pulled back to eat, is because our body is screaming for energy and building blocks, because we are low in resources. And that's a dangerous combination, right? When we don't have building blocks and we don't have energy, that forces our body to push us to eat. And it will push you and push you and push you until we do what? Until you give in to your cravings and eat the stupid junk food, because your body's looking for something immediate. And now what happens? We see ourselves as failures, even though it was the stupid salads that caused the brain fog and fatigue that triggered the cravings in the first place. But the vegetables that we were eating in the salad, we're not even paying attention to that. But there's no getting around it, Wellness Warrior. Because of eating carbohydrates, which are plants, right? Our insulin rises and stays high because carbohydrates trigger your insulin the most.
Insulin makes us hungry, and the food we eat much more likely to be stored as fat. Insulin is our fat storage hormone. Everything you eat is either a carbohydrate, a protein, or a fat, and they all have a very different effect on glucose and therefore insulin levels, as you can see on the graph. So when we eat carbohydrates, our insulin and glucose are going to spike up fast. And with proteins, it looks a lot better. But take a look at what happens when we eat fat. Essentially nothing, a flat line. And this is going to wind up being very important.
Our cheat is actually caused by our hormonal alarm going off because of the foods we are being told to eat. We are advised, if we're on a standard diet, we're advised more veg is better. If we're on a keto and carnivore diet, we're advised that eat them, try to keep them under 20. How many of us struggle to keep them under 20? Our body's survival mechanisms are working perfectly when we eat all that carbohydrate and we don't eat enough, animal protein and fat. It's slowing down our metabolism to conserve energy. That's exactly the right thing to do. if we are not bringing in animal fat and animal protein every single day for it to build and repair us, of course it should slow down production. We can't be building right now. There's no energy coming in. We need the energy to make the heart and liver, all these the brain, all these organs need to function. We need to hold on to energy. So our metabolism absolutely slows down. And we hold on to the fat on our body, right? We are now absolutely blocking our ability to lose weight. And so therefore, we're going to do whatever we can do to make sure the energy that we do have, that's the right energy. Because remember, Wellness Warrior, no matter what happens, this thing up here has to be fed as properly as possible. Your body is going to hold on to your fat because eventually it knows it's going to have no choice but to make some ketones for your brain. Your brain needs fat, right? And it's been shown that our body prioritizes whatever ketones we do have, that the ones that is going to send as much as possible up to the brain.
The brain is unwilling to share in energy deficit when you're fasting. This is an important point to be made. The rest of the body compromises. Thank God the brain does not compromise, because you don't want your brain to atrophy. The brain extracts about 10 to 15% of ketones for blood, whether it's high ketone level or low ketone level. But at high ketone level, about 60% of brain's energy is coming from ketones.
So your body is going to hold on to the fat that's on your body to make it last as long as it possibly can last. And since we're still eating processed nonsense garbage, we're still making fat. So that's not a problem. But do you see why I said that we're starving even though we're overfed? Because we're still eating. The temptation is to be angry at doctors, nutritionists, and trainers once we realize that eating this way and working out destroys our energy, tanks our metabolism, and forces our body to hold on to fat. We wonder, why the hell is this still the standard advice that everyone is giving? First, we need to understand that it's the food and pharma industries that continue to push the idea of massive salads, low-fat products, and calorie counting. And it's no secret that these same companies provide huge financial funding to medical associations and nutritional research programs. When the industries profiting from our sickness are the same ones that are funding the education, it only makes sense that the standard advice protects their profit margins rather than our health. And then we need to understand that companies cannot patent and overcharge for single ingredient meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt, right? They can, however, make billions taking cheap, subsidized grains and plant fibers and engineering them into processed foods with fancy labels that make amazing claims about how they're going to help you. They make them into supplements too. They make plant matter into medications. Food companies set us up with the lie that fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and grains are healthier than animal protein, so they can sell us the garbage. Then the fitness industry is waiting there to help us lose weight with a low-fat diet and an exercise that does nothing more than set the yo-yo dieting situation into action so that our weight will rise even faster, right? Because we all know that when you lose weight and then you put some back on, you tend to put on more than what you took off, and then you're going to try to lose some more because, oh my God, and then you're going to put some more back on, but even more than you. That's how I ended up 80 pounds overweight, Wellness Warrior. Your weight just rises quicker and quicker every time, which of course primes us for the pharma and medical solutions that are constantly being created, right? Because they need to stay ahead of the patents. They need to make max profit margins off of our pain. When we are constantly exhausted, inflamed, and fighting our own hunger, we are the perfect lifelong customer. We are desperate for their solutions to not only the weight that we've put on, but the medical issues that come along with all that ever-rising weight that we are storing. But their solutions just keep the problem growing, right? We are looking to them to help us, but their solutions pause it, stall it, and sometimes even make it worse, right? I mean, don't get me started on the side effects of a lot of these weight loss medications, but that's a different conversation. What we actually need is to understand our body so that we can correct the mistakes causing our weight gain and pain, Wellness Warrior. So let's start with balanced diet. Can we look at that idea for a second? We are constantly told that we need to eat lean meat, vegetables, and healthy fats. And their idea of healthy fats are plant-based fats, which are not identical to what our body uses to build and fuel us. So we take in these healthy fats, and then our body has to fight with them. And they don't create structures in our body the same way. So they're not identical, and therefore we struggle when that's the only fat. I can tell you that my hand quality has resumed being normal because what? Because I took plant fats out of my diet. And as soon as I did that, all the calluses that I lived for years on my hands, gone. We need animal fat and connective tissue for good health. That's where our body gets the glycine, the collagen, and fatty acids that are just crucial to build and repair us. But something that most of us don't think about is the fact that we need to have enough materials for our rebuild. So it's not just about eating some. Are we eating enough? And I want you to consider something. Every time we eat a meal that's packed with vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains, when we have fruit at the end, when we do these things, we are flooding our system with plant toxins and actively depriving our body of the meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt it actually needs to repair, while our body has to store more fat. We need to keep in mind that when we eat carbohydrates alongside of protein and fat, our body prioritizes neutralizing the carbohydrates because our blood sugar stability is the most non-negotiable thing you cannot have too much sugar in your blood. It is actually dangerous. Our body isn't gonna let that slide. That insulin spike that happens, it's gonna put carbohydrates in fat storage, right? That's for sure. It's forcing weight gain basically, but it's also pushing cravings and overeating. But we don't seem to understand that, but your body just took all of the energy from the carbohydrates that you ate and put it in fat storage. What is it running on, right? Processing food is energy intensive. Just storing that stuff away, you wasted energy that it could have been using, building you, repairing you, doing good stuff for you. Nope, wasted it putting carbohydrates in fat storage. Of course, it needs to send you out to get more food, because when it's putting things in fat storage, so energy and toxins in fat storage, it cannot be taking energy out of fat storage. That's not how it works. What we need to eat is real food, Wellness Warrior. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and allow our bodies to do the work of healing us that it's been trying to do the whole time. Our body wouldn't needlessly be asking for food if we ate what humans are meant to eat. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. Were you aware that carbs impact your body's ability to maintain your weight, even on keto? Let me know in the comments below, because I've spoken to many people who are struggling with keto and were not aware that all carbs impact insulin and contribute to fat storage. Now that you know, this is your opportunity to prioritize eating for health. You can join my coaching program to better understand the steps needed to eat healthy each day and put your health first. That link is in the description. And for more information on how traditional medical advice is secretly keeping you trapped in yo-yo dieting, you're going to want to watch this video. Click on the link, and I'm going to meet you on the road to health.